was set aside this time. The loans can be forgiven if a significant portion of the funds are used to cover payroll costs. So that would be good. And I think literally all that you need to do is, like, you don't really need to make it that simple. Like, we see this with both Republicans and Democrats. Like, the whole idea of, when it comes to bringing protections for something that just might be used to help the average working class person, like, maybe we can do it, but there has to be this caveat and this condition and this term attached. But when it comes to passing money, like, the first thing that they did was a massive multi-trillion-dollar bailout of the banks that tells you all you need to know about who's running this country. And again, it's in both parties. Like, that is the priority of the government here at this time. I think that has become incredibly clear. All right, so what I want to do now here is switch some gears. We'll do that next, talking about Joe Biden and Tara Reade with a great opinion piece in the New York Times from Elizabeth Brunig. Just keep listening. It's the Spencer Walsh Radio Network. Hope everyone's managing to enjoy a beautiful quarantine weekend. Getting at least a little bit of time in the sun. I got a little bit of sunburn today. And, so hopefully everyone's managing to at least stay sane. Especially if you have any essential workers, healthcare professionals, frontline workers in your family. Thanks so much to them. Like, Jesus Christ. That is a very, very tough situation. So, yeah. I do want to get into this piece today by Elizabeth Brunig, one of the best out there, Democratic Socialist representing us in the New York Times. How about that? And I really, as I said the words Democratic Socialist representing us in the New York Times, which I mean, at this point I do consider myself then as a Democratic Socialist, but it's really kind of amazing how far to the left I've moved since starting the show, like in 2017. It's been kind of incredible. But, anyway, let's get into this here. This is a piece. If you're lucky when you report your sexual assault, you'll become known as a person who was sexually assaulted. If you're unlucky, you'll become known as a person who lied about being sexually assaulted. And I think it depends on who you ask in most public and political situations. It still really could go either way for Tara Reade. In March, Miss Reade told the journalist Katie Halper on Halper's podcast she'd been sexually assaulted by Joe Biden in 1993 while working in his Senate office. As I'm sure you well know by now, Reade contends that sometime in the spring of that year, Biden forced her against the wall, shoved his hands up her skirt, and forced his fingers into her vagina. As you well know, Biden unequivocally denied Reade's allegations that we talked about on Friday at the show. So, since the interview with Reade, an ad hoc vetting of Reade's claims has unfolded. Those who doubt Reade cite the fact that she'd exhibited unusual behavior over the years, such as using several aliases. She praised Biden occasionally, that she made different allegations at different times, that her recollection of the incident is spotty in places, and those who believe her point to the reporters. The out there reporters were able to locate a 1993 clip of a Larry King Live, which, by the way, somehow the amazing vetters on Team Obama were unable to find, as they can't come out this weekend crowing about how tough they were in their vetting of Joe Biden when he was Obama's when they were trying to pick him in 2008. But it is really quite clear that is something that is very, very obvious that they missed. So, to say the least, that clip featured Reade's mother calling in to ask an attorney who represents whistleblowers about what her daughter's options were after having a serious problem with a prominent senator. Which, by the way, that person who was on the Larry King Live show was like, yeah, she's lying. Really incredible. Then neighbor of Reed's has confirmed that she spoke with Reed about the incident in mid-1990s, and her brother and friends remember as well as remember a contemporaneous disclosure as well. I have my own impressions with Reed's allegations, but no one save Reed and Biden knows the certainty of whether her claims are true. What I can assert with firm conviction is that Democrats ought to start considering a backup plan for 2020. So this is kind of the interesting case here that not many people have made, because, I mean, honestly, my personal opinion on this is like, and I do want to kind of present this case here to you, is like, what in the world is like, what in the world are we going to do? Because like, I know a lot of people out there who, like, for example, I'll say my mother is a big, like, she's someone who considers herself a feminist. Like, she was absolutely appalled, and for time and time again, I think really gradually she started to, as she's researched more about these allegations, has been like, I kind of believe her. And now she's like, I definitely believe her. Joe Biden sucks. He's a powerful guy who's used things to get away, or used his power to get away with doing very bad things. Like, but here's the other problem. He's running against Trump, and my mom doesn't know what to do. Like, she wants to, like, she is someone who, like, and I think this is someone who really describes probably a large portion of Democratic voters. Like, she's someone who really wants to take the pride in voting out President Trump and sitting in that voting booth and pressing the button for whoever that contender is. Like, she doesn't want to, like, stay home or vote for third party, or like not fill in the Joe Biden ballot. Like, even though like living in New York is not going to really make much of a difference, but she's not someone who wants to do that. Like, there's a lot of people in the Democratic Party who are very, very excited about the prospect of coming in and voting out Donald Trump. Like, they're very excited about it. I think deservedly so. Like, I would love to come in and just press the ballot or pull the lever and get him out. Like, that is something that is, I think, it's just a very, very appealing thing, to say the least. Like, this guy is someone who has wreaked so much havoc in this country, and apologize there, we had some technical difficulties, but we are back now. He's wreaked so much havoc in this country, so much caused so much angst for so many people, and we've all seen the things he's done. There's no one who needs any reminding about why Trump sucks. But the whole thing about this is we have seen my mom, she wants to at the same time vote for Joe Biden and not vote for Joe Biden. Like, she does not know what to do. I think a backup plan here would be very appealing, because it's not like he's going to have a very easy time of it either in the general election. Like, he's just not. Recent count is not nearly as incredible as some have argued. In the course of my reporting, this is again Liz Bruning writing here, I have worked closely with many survivors of sexual assault. It isn't unusual, in my experience, for survivors to exhibit behavior that may seem unstable or erratic to others. They may initially disclose to investigators or journalists only a fragment of what happened, and then reveal more over time. Some even falsely recant, either because they sense the police don't believe them, or because they fear the consequences of pressing their claims. And victims often maintain relationships with their attackers, or harbor mixed feelings about them. Like Tara Reid, for example, she's like, I don't want to hurt him. Like, I do respect him. That's someone who I identify positively. Like, I think he's a good, really kind of weird way. Like, he's a person who I don't want to see harm, but he did attack me. Like, he did this awful thing to me. So there is that. It's a very kind of complicated. I do recommend you listen more into the interviews that she did with Katie Halper. It's not uncommon at all. It's not at all uncommon for someone to still have positive feelings about aspects of the person who assaulted them, or to admire or respect them. Scott Berkowitz, the founder and president of Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, RAINN, said, with people who work for politicians, there's usually a strong measure of loyalty or respect in that relationship, so it's not indicative that someone wasn't telling the truth. Sexual assault is a crime unlike many others. It is hideous, and uniqueness is often manifest in the ways the victims cope. Cavalier dismissal of Reed's story therefore runs the risk of advancing misconceptions about sexual assault and its aftermath. This is collateral damage that Democrats who have spent the last few years championing the Me Too movement should be loath to incur. Democrats who subject Reed's allegations to a level of scrutiny not widely applied to accusers in similar circumstances, such as Christine Blasey Ford, who famously came forward during the confirmation of Justice Brett Kavanaugh for the Supreme Court to allege that she had sexually accosted her in high school, also open up past and future cases to reproachful disregard. Conservatives, like Brett Stevens, can see the plain gulf between how Democrats have approached sexual assault in politically advantageous cases like Tara Reid's, and the evident hypocrisy threatens to really discredit the entire enterprise, because it's something that should be really taken very, very seriously. It's something that should be considered and really, I think, because it's an awful thing. Like, you got to deal with it. You got to deal with it accordingly. So that is something that's very, very important, and it's definitely worth considering, because I think if you want to have the best chance, it's important to stop Trump. Like, you got to, like, that is, I think, the way you do it. That is the way you do it. And I think it's something that it sounds crazy, but I think it's something worth considering. Coming up next, you know what? Actually, we're going to be talking about. All right, I'm going to switch the order of our stories a little bit around here. I will now be getting to this. This is the new report here. U.S. billionaires actually increased their collective worth by $282 billion in just 23 days during the initial weeks of the coronavirus report from the Institute of Policy Studies claims. The Billionaire Bonanza report says that between March 18th and April 10th of 2020, the billionaire wealth increased by 9.5%. How crazy is that? During the same time, 22 million Americans filed for unemployment. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, the world's richest man, has increased his wealth by $25 billion since the beginning of the year, the report estimates. So it's crazy. Like, this is just crazy, crazy stuff. So please, if you're listening out there, don't buy from Amazon. Like, deprive Jeff Bezos of as much wealth as possible until we can get someone in there who can tax the crap out of him. But 8 billionaires in the U.S. have seen their net worth surge by over $1 billion this year. So, just absolutely crazy. Research by Forbes year showed that the U.S. billionaires' wealth declined $3.1 trillion to $2.9 trillion in 2020 as of March 18th. But the new Billionaire Bonanza report shows that billionaires' wealth from the start of January to April 10th shows that billionaires have cashed in so far this year. In 23 days, between March 18th and April 10th, billionaire wealth increased. And apparently Jeff Bezos has been the biggest benefiter. Interestingly enough, and this is a guy who, it's weird to see him up here, of the billionaires who saw their wealth increase in the first 3 months of 2020, 8 saw their wealth increase by more than $1 billion, including Jeff Bezos, $25 billion, up, Elon Musk, up $5 billion, and this is a guy who has incredibly called these lockdowns fascistic, and said that Americans need to get their freedom back. Like, he's out there with the protesters, and he's still coming out and saying stuff like this, which is kind of weird. But whatever. Mackenzie Bezos is up $8.6 billion. Eric Yuan, chief executive and founder of Zoom, that makes more sense actually. Up $2.58 billion. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. The owner of the LA Clippers, Steve Ballmer, up $2.2 billion. John Albert Sobrato, real estate developer and founder of Cupertino, is up $2.07 billion. Joshua Harris, Apollo Global Management co-founder and American private equity investigator, probably one of the most evil professions out there, in my opinion anyway, is up by $1.72 billion. Rocco Camiso, Mediacom Communications founder and chief executive, is up by $1.09 billion. the report says that taxes paid by billionaires have fallen by